There have been numerous Star Wars video game releases throughout the years, but few have been lauded with as much praise as Star Wars Rogue Squadron, a 1998 release for the Nintendo 64 and PC, where you play as the elite Rogue Squadron in the events between Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back. The formula is simple. Choose your mission and blow the crap out of the Empire with a wide variety of Star Wars spaceships, like X-Wing fighters, A-Wings, Y-Wings, Snowspeeders, and the Naboo Starfighter, which makes an appearance in this game even though it was released before Episode 1. But my favorite will always be the A-Wing, such an underrated spaceship. I have one myself. It's kind of a bitch to park, but handles a lot better than the X-Wing and is way easier on the fuel than that Y-Wing. It's like the SUV of spaceships. Take that, AT-ST, you suck. You're nothing but the poor man's AT-AT. The fact is that the Force is strong with this game. As I'm recording this in 2012, Star Wars Rogue Squadron is still playable and fun. Blowing TIE fighters out of the air never gets old, and it runs really smoothly on the N64 for a 1998 release. This is one of the best Nintendo 64 games I've ever played. Here's the Naboo Starfighter, which is not one of my favorites, but is actually one of the better spaceships in the game. Like the other Rogue Squadron releases for the GameCube, there's a lot of unlockable and hidden content in Star Wars Rogue Squadron. This one will keep you busy for quite some time. It's not an entirely well-balanced game. You'll frequently encounter missions where the visuals are way too dark and murky for their own good. Like the other Rogue Squadron games, you'll have mission objectives, some of which are very straightforward, others you'll have to figure out after playing the level 500 times. Depending on how well you do, how quickly you play the level, and how many enemies you blow up, it will award you medals that you use to unlock hidden stuff. And what's interesting about Star Wars Rogue Squadron, the series, is that it's a trilogy, like the original Star Wars movies. There's 3 video games. The first one is a classic that's a little bit rough around the edges, but like the first Star Wars movie, will always be loved and respected because of its innovation, charm, and the fact that it sold so well that it kicked off the rest of the trilogy. Now, I think The Empire Strikes Back, which is the second Star Wars movie, is the best of the trilogy. In fact, I think it's the best movie ever made, which parallels Star Wars Rogue Leader, Rogue Squadron 2, the best entry in the Rogue Squadron series. And then there's Star Wars Rogue Squadron 3, Rebel Strike, which is the Return of the Jedi of these games. Yeah, it's good, but has some issues that make it the weakest in the trilogy. The on-foot sequences are the new Ewoks. Star Wars Rogue Squadron on the N64 is awesome, but it can be really frustrating. Some levels like this one are just damned near impossible, and you have to play them over and over and over again to memorize where all of the enemies are, and to get through some things really fast. If you're collecting for the N64 today, Rogue Squadron is really easy to find. There's a lot of copies out there, and if you want them, you can find the cheat codes and unlockables online. But you certainly don't need those to play the game. It features a cool story that's worth playing through with some of your favorite characters like Luke Skywalker, and it packs some great missions and combat as well, even if some of the later ones can be really frustrating. It's an impressive, most impressive game because it's a fine technical achievement for 1998, made by people who love Star Wars and capture all of the subtle nuances that make the series great. With excellent visuals and audio design, developer Factor 5, who is sadly no longer with us, did an amazing job on Star Wars Rogue Squadron. Now it's payback time against the dreaded Empire for not paying me last month. Woo-hoo! Take that! Oh, woo! I'm unstoppable! Oh.